Hello everyone, welcome to the Scumdogs Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Corner mini-episode, today I have a couple of more bizarre stories to tell you all about today, folks. Once again, we're delving back into the latest technologies being developed with a new story about a robot that's just, well, beyond words, I would say, folks, and kind of terrifying. And I have another story involving the Baltic Sea Anomaly. Let's read this first story. First robot unveiled that can run by itself and change its own batteries. Let's get into the story now. Humanoid robots are becoming more advanced, but one recent model stands out. The Walker S2, made by Chinese company Baltic. This robot can change its own battery, allowing it to operate non-stop. At 5'3", 162 centimeters tall, and weighing 95 pounds, 43 kilograms, it's about the size of a small adult. The Walker S2 uses a dual battery system with a 48-volt lithium batteries. It can walk for 2 hours or stand for 4 before needing a recharge, which takes 90 minutes. What makes it unique is its ability to swap its own batteries without human help, a feature Baltic calls a world first. And kind of terrifying, folks. Robots that can basically change their own batteries and don't need human help. If you look at this picture of this robot, folks, it looks sort of very spooky. What with its facialist features and basically a glowing T in the middle of its head, it looks spooky. But let's read the heading under the picture. Baltic's Walker S2 becomes the first humanoid robot to automatically swap its battery, enabling non-stop human-free industrial work. Yeah? What about actual workers, folks, who basically, well, who want to work? Do we have to have these things basically doing it for us? That might sound nice, but as I said, folks, who controls these robots is the real scary thing. And the fact that, well, that they could basically be ordered to do anything, and the fact that they don't really need human help is frightening to me, folks. And I'll talk about that after we read the rest of the article, and I'll give you my few ideas why I dislike this idea. In a YouTube video from July 17th, the robot is shown approaching a charging station, removing its drained battery and inserting a fresh one, all on its own. According to Baltic, the Walker S2 can also decide when to swap batteries based on its power levels and task priorities, as reported by, well, Sin Post. Or, I guess, Siniv Post. It's kind of hard to basically tell what exactly Siniv Post is, folks, because this is the first time I've ever heard of it. But either way, let's continue with the article. Designed for factories or public spaces like green customers, the Walker S2 has 20 degrees of freedom, meaning its joints can move in many ways and supports Wi-Fi and blue tech. With robots like the Walker S2 handling tasks independently, will humans soon be unnecessary? How long before robots no longer need us at all? And that's the thing, folks. I worry in the future that basically some rich guy or an army will basically have robots like this patrolling our streets, and much like in various sci-fi movies like Elysium, what if these robots are used just to oppress us? That's my fear, folks. And not just movies like Elysium, there's also, well, RoboCop 2014, the remake, well, a very bad movie, the beginning with robot soldiers and, well, those walking tank platforms patrolling a city. That is my fear about what could happen in the future if we have something like, well, robots like this basically used out in everyday life. What if one day some elite person decides, you know what, I'm going to rule the world. I'm going to basically send out a signal and turn all the robots against mankind, and I'll rule. This is different from artificial intelligence, which has its own problems, folks, because here, robots are doing exactly what they were programmed to do, and that's my fear. Either way, folks, let's move on to the next article. Baltic Sea Anomaly discoverer hints at new groundbreaking find. So, let's once again delve back and hear about the, well, Baltic Sea Anomaly and see what other new and fascinating things have been discovered. So let's get into this article and read through it and have another interesting time. In July 2025, Dennis Asberg, co-founder of OceanX, known for discovering the Baltic Sea Anomaly in 2011, announced a new, potentially groundbreaking discovery. In social media posts, he described receiving data that is incredibly big and hard to accept, stating, "I've just received some data that is so incredible, I'm at a loss for words. I wish I could share everything right now, but it has to come from the right source." He added, "It is true that this is an incredibly big discovery and I had a hard time accepting all of this." Continuing with the chat he basically made, "We're celebrating our discovery and this excellent data we've gathered with a cake. This moment captures the joy of our achievements and the excitement of what's to come, and this is just the beginning. We're far from done, but the data we're getting is incredibly fascinating." As you can see, they're celebrating right here in the picture that he basically uploaded with his chat up on X and stuff like that. Either way, looks like they're very happy, folks, but let's continue with their, story and learn exactly what other discoveries they've made with this anomaly. Asberg is working with astronomer Dr. Beatriz Villarroel, who studies unusual objects in astronomical surveys on a formal paper to reveal this finding. He suggested that data is so significant that it perhaps shouldn't be disclosed to humanity, but provided no further details. Separately, the Society for UAP Studies SUAPS announced support for a new expedition to study the Baltic Sea anomaly, a mysterious 21-meter-wide circular object found 92 meters underwater. Discovered by OceanX during a sonar scan, the object has sharp edges and a dome-like top with a nearby trench suggesting movement across the seafloor. Divers reported equipment failures near it, as diver Stefan Hogerborn noted electrical gear and satellite phones stopped working nearby. Here's the Baltic Sea anomaly, folks. Let's read the heading. The Baltic Sea anomaly is a feature visible on an indistinct sonar image taken by Peter Lindberg, Dennis Alberg, and their Swedish OceanX diving team. As you can see, folks, it sort of looks like basically the Millennium Falcon. Very interesting, huh? But let's continue because there's so much more to go through. The new expedition, founded by a grant, uses advanced tools like multi-beam sonar and 3D modeling to map the object without disturbing it. SUAPS, led by Dr. Michael Sifone, emphasizes a scientific approach ensuring data integrity and public access to results after analysis. The team includes marine geologists, robotic engineers, and other experts aiming to set standards for studying similar underwater phenomena. Asberg's new discovery and the Baltic Sea anomaly expedition are unrelated, though public interest has linked them. Very interesting, isn't it, folks? So, what is the Baltic Sea anomaly? As you can see from the picture we looked at, folks, it looks like the Millennium Falcon, or literally like a, flying disc, like a typical UFO. Some people have argued that's what it is, but is it really any more than basically a natural rock formation that's very odd looking, or is it actually something else entirely? We can basically go over that a little more later on, but let's finish off this article, huh? The anomaly, first explored over a decade ago, sparked debate due to its unusual shape, with theories ranging from a glacial deposit to an artificial structure. Past efforts lacked resources for conclusive answers, but the current mission uses cutting-edge technology to gather clear data. SUAPS insists on empirical evidence, avoiding premature conclusions. Asberg's statements about his new discovery remain bold, and Dr. Villarroel's involvement suggests the finding may involve astronomical data, given her work on the Vasco project, which searches for objects that appear and vanish in sky surveys. Although the release data of the article is unknown, Asberg's statements have generated anticipation as he insists the data is real and transformative. I would say indeed, folks, if this is true, then indeed, if it's not anything more than basically a rock formation, it might still be transformative because we don't know what that thing is. But it also could be something really interesting. Perhaps maybe some sort of structure built by some sort of ancient civilization that somehow sank into the ocean, perhaps? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe there was some sort of island or other thing that basically this structure sat on and then it sank. We just can't be for sure, folks. A lot of skeptics will argue that's just poppycock. But then again, maybe it isn't. Maybe there's indeed some sort of structure that is indeed extraterrestrial as well. Either way, let's finish off this article. It is true that this is an incredibly big discovery, and I had a hard time accepting all of this. You will understand when the report comes out. He reiterates his final words on this article, folks, that this is a big discovery, and when it does come out, it will probably, he thinks, change things. Either way, folks, let's take another look at the photo of the Baltic Sea anomaly. As you can see, folks, it really does look like an artificial structure, like a, flying saucer, because you see all the straight lines on it. But are these actually natural, or are they actually some sort of artificial, structure, a building, or maybe even, as I said, a UFO? You can even see where basically the structure seems to have landed, with basically like a landing area behind it, as if it basically tore into the ground as it landed. I mean, it really does look like it basically plowed into the ground and basically tore up what was directly behind it as it basically landed, folks, like an airplane. But is that really what we're seeing here? The fact that all of this lines up so closely is what's really interesting, folks. Until we get more answers, we'll have to wait. And when we do, we'll probably basically be truly fascinated. But everyone, we're at the end, so please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read comics that are bad for you. You can use the YouTube link down below in the descriptions of the chat to go subscribe to me. Hit that like button for me. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Hit the part of the bell that will give you all future notifications. And please share this video out. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another great video, so be sure to come back again then. Till next time, folks, I'll see you all again soon.